Hey friends, so welcome back to DBC Live. We have Dave in the house today.
Hey Tara, how you doing?
Great. I'm excited to have you here chatting it up with our peeps. So if you're joining us, please do comment over in the comment section. Tell us something good. Tell us something exciting that happened today, or share anything with us. And Dave, are you getting an echo? Or you have it on your phone?
Nope, should be good.
Okay, good deal. And Dave, we'll start with you. Tell us something good that's happening in your world.
Okay, I'll tell you something good, which actually ties a little bit into our topic today, but that is that when I got out of bed this morning, I didn't want to go run. And I didn't go run, and then I got involved in some other stuff, and then, but I was like, you know what? I got to go put in my miles. And so before this Facebook Live, I went down to the bay and put in 5.5 miles. And it wasn't the greatest 5.5 miles in the world for sure, but I put in my miles, put in my time. And so that's gonna tie in today too. So
it is definitely gonna tie in our topic today.
That's my good news. What about you, Tara? What have you done today? What do you got?
Well, I got some happy mail. Ta-da!
Oh. Expedition Science and Teaching with Google Jamboard. Nice.
Yeah, these two gyms today I'm pretty excited to dive into. So I've actually read this one on digital copy already, but I haven't got to see this one. So I'm really excited about just diving in and getting to see what Google Jamboard is all about, because I've honestly never used it.
Hey, so a Nick from Winnipeg is listening, and while she's running.
Oh,
that right there is that is cool right there. That's dedication.
Yeah, I think, you know what, this would be kind of like a podcast though, honestly. I think when you and I get on here, it is more like a podcast. Yeah. We'll miss all your comments though. You don't have to comment so much, Nick, while you're running. We'll give you some grace.
What's awesome is that you're running and it's not like below zero freezing with your like eyebrows frosted shut or your eyes frosted shut or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, I think it's hot there today. And so that's a different experience for what I was about to say, a Winnipegian. I don't know what you call someone from Winnipeg. Are they a Winnipegian?
I like that. I think it sounds cool. That's fine. Well, I was telling a story. So I told a story this morning on the only problem is when I put my phone in my pocket, it turns off. So I have to call my phone. I love it. She's doing her phone like up while she's running, I think is what she's saying. I think it's like that with
all the time.
That is kind of stinky on Facebook. You know, you have to have it open.
Yeah.
This morning I went and had to give some blood for just like some routine work. And I put on my story and I noticed everyone voted. I need to put the votes out. 100% no. I asked everyone a question. If they've ever asked to hold the little tube when you give blood. I mean, if you're out there and you're listening, have you ever asked to hold the little tube after they fill it up with blood? And if you haven't, you should one day, because it gives a whole new meaning to this girl's on fire, because your body is so hot. It is. I don't know why, but 98.6 just sounds normal. But then when you feel it, it's really hot. You think about outside, it's almost 100 degrees. It's like the hottest thing. I just think it's the coolest thing.
Okay. First of all, hi, Lisa. Lisa has joined us from Missouri. Good to see you there. And secondly, Tara, this is one of those things that we've talked about before, where there are things that we share with people and there's things that we keep private. And so this would be one of those things where, like, I think I voted on this poll. I don't always vote on the polls, but this one I was like, no, I've never asked to hold the blood vial. That's weird. Of course they looked at you strange, because that's really strange. It's really odd.
It's a great experience. I think like our students in our classroom need to experience stuff. And so as adults, we need to experience. I mean, you don't really truly know how hot that is until you feel it.
You know what? Next time you're in front of a group of kids, I suggest that maybe you just say, like, you know what? Like, have you all ever held your blood? You should try to hold your blood.
You should one day. It's really cool.
See how that goes over for you.
Oh my goodness. That was another cool thing that happened today. I got to give blood and hold it. And only one time has the phlebotomist told me I couldn't hold it, but all the rest of the times they let me, even though they think it's weird. Yeah. Anyways, that's a really cool thing that happened. Sure. And yeah, so we have a few people in here today. Today we just thought we would jump on here and talk a little bit about, I was talking to Dave the other day about this idea. It's not really an idea, it's just a thought I had about a lot of people coming to the gym. So I know I didn't talk about CrossFit per se, but I'm thinking about all different sports. For example, this really just works for any sport. Yeah, good point, Lisa. Don't move. I don't look. So I'm super scared of blood, so I never look at it, which is very funny. But then when it's done, I'm like, can I hold that? Yeah, so anyways, let's go back to our topic. So when I was talking to Dave, I started thinking about a lot of people going to the gym, and a lot of times we're told, and we see these posters, and they're always like, give your best every single day, live your every day like it's your last day, and give your very best every single day. And I get that. I hear you. I understand where people are coming from, but I also, like, the real side of me thinks that's not really possible. It's not really comprehensible, and it's not actually sustainable. Like, if we tried to give our very best every single day and we performed as if it were game day, let's just use that as the example because that's what I'm going to be talking about, we would crash, like physically, mentally exhausted. You wouldn't be able to fuel your system to keep at that pace every single day. That's why at our football schedule, they don't have a game every single day. And even when they're doing the end of it, when they're getting ready for, into the Super Bowl and the finals and all those things, you don't see them playing back to back. They don't even play back to back, like the next day, because an athlete can't give like that. For example, I follow Sally McRae, and she is a ultimate mountain runner. She is amazing. Dave and I both follow her. I am super like fangirling all over her, but she's about to run this big race called the Badwater. And it is like 135 miles from the lowest point of the US to the highest point of the US. And I guarantee you, she is not running that race before the race, period. She's not going to run that race before the race. She is training every day. And I think that's what we need to remember is most days we are just training. Most days we are in training. And it's okay to not have the very best gym day or not have the very best mom day, not have the very best Tara M. Martin day, because most days are training days. And on training days, we learn some things. We go through some pain. We experience things like Dave talked about this morning. He did not want to run, but he did it anyway. We have experiences like that because one day the game's going to come, right? The game day is going to show up, and we're going to need to put all those things that we've been training so hard for together to make it happen on that day. And we're going to be ready for it. But if we did that every single day, you would crash. And I think that's why a lot of people think they have to show up and be the best every single day. And when they're not, they're like, they get in their head and think, man, I'm a failure. I suck at life or whatever you think. But the truth is, what if it was just a training day? What if you learned a few things that day? What if you had to do a little bit of physical therapy because of an injury? Or what if you needed to rest and recover on that day? It's okay. That's all part of training, so we can actually show up when it's actual game day. So my thought is every day is not game day.
Yeah, I love that. I read your blog post. It's fantastic. So if you haven't read Tara's blog post, make sure you go there to it's tarammartin.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll be able to click on the blog and read it. It's great. It shows lots of different kind of perspectives on that concept and that idea and kind of applications to life. Shannon, I see has popped in here, by the way. Thank you, Shannon, for joining us. Make sure you get your comments in there. Everyone who has a comment in there could win a book today. So glad to have your comments over there. It's very demotivating too if you have a mentality that you have to be better, that each day you have to be better than the day before. Because that's unrealistic, you're not going to hit that, and it's demotivating, right? It takes away some of that. You're like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to go out today, because if your goal is that you have to be better than yesterday, it makes you start want to not go out, because you know you can't do that every single day. It's just not possible. And so I totally and completely agree with you. In the running community, one of the things that they say is that make your easy runs easy. You can't go out and run hard every day, or your body's going to break down. So when it's your day for your easy run, people don't run easy days enough. Do more easy runs. And one of the running coaches I follow, his name is David Roach and Megan Roach. They're a husband-wife team. They just talk about the wall of fitness, and that so you just put another brick into the wall, another brick, another brick, another brick, and eventually, you know, you're going to be ready for a race day. But some days you just put another brick in. Those are those training days that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I like what Sean has to say here too. Giving your best to meet your expectations, whatever you're doing, but remembering your expectations have to be attainable and will fluctuate. I agree. And someone, was commenting underneath my blog, and I think he said, I kind of agree with this, but then I also try to think like Walt Disney said, this could be the only time you bring your family to Disney World. So he wants his employees to make it the best experience ever for all of them. I get that too, but I also think that maybe we show up every day, and I talk about this in the blog. It's good to wake up and plan to show up, but also know we may not be on that day. We're just not on every single day because we're human. I think it's unattainable to truly be on all the time. And I think a lot of this thought process comes from lifting, because there are some workout sessions where the form is just on point, and almost I can lift the bar and it feels light, and I can hit a PR like it's nothing. And the very next time we do the same lift, and I was just crushing it 2 days before, for whatever reason, maybe I didn't drink enough water, get enough rest, eat enough. There could be a number of reasons. There's too many things on my mind. I can't even remember the form to lift the bar up. I'm struggling with everything, taking plates off the end. And I'm asking my coach, what is wrong with me? How is this possible? And thinking about it too much. And a lot of times he'll say, Tara, you're just too much in your head. Get out of your head. Just do the lift. You know how to do it. And I think this goes back in sports days. I've heard basketball players say, I've made that shot a million times. I have no idea why I did not make that shot. I was wide open. There was no reason for it. And we're just not on every single day. So even sometimes in the game, we're not on. And it's just part of it. And, win or lose, when you show up for game day, say you've been training all this time, you show up for race day, and you don't meet the goals that you were hoping to attain, then it's not really a loss, right? It's really just another lesson learned to keep training and prepare for the next one. So I don't know. I'm just hoping to, inspire people that you don't really have to show up for game day every single day.
Yeah. I wrote a blog post that was called My Goal is to Run Again Tomorrow. and that's what it's about. It's like people will always ask me, like, are you training for a marathon, for a half? Like, what are you training? Like, no, my goal is I want to run again tomorrow. And so I don't want to do anything today that makes me not able to run again tomorrow, because that's my goal. And so, another part of your blog that I enjoyed was you talked about the fact that sometimes a training day means it's a recovery day, and that a recovery day is not a bad thing. Recovery day is that's what our body needs. And that kind of goes to lifting too. Or if you lift and you're breaking down the fibers, your muscle fibers and all that, if you lift every day, that same muscle group, then your muscle fibers don't have time to rebuild and grow and you don't get stronger. You have to have that recovery time in there to be able to rebuild and get stronger. And the same thing is true of teaching and education. This year taught educators that for sure. If they hadn't learned it before, they learned it this year, is that you can't go all the time. You have to have that self-care. You have to have that, you know what, I'm unplugging. I'm not going to get, I need to take time for myself. In order to be my best for my kids, sometimes that means I have to unplug and step away and take care of myself. And so that intentional self-care I've seen a real focus on that this year, but really it needs to be every year.
So true. I love what Nick said too, which goes right along to what you were saying. You know, if you try to show up every single day as if it were game day or if it was race day, if you were competing and judges were marking your every single move, I mean, let's be honest, I don't want a judge to mark my every single move every single day in my real life. I mean, I screw up a lot during the day. But she says you'll be forced to take steps back anyway. So you might as well go ahead and build in the recovery days because you need them. And it's the same for our mindsets, as Dave was talking about. I mean, it's summertime. I'm hoping that educators all around the world are thinking of ways that they can do some things that bring them joy, that get them excited, give some mind break, even some moments where you're not learning something new. It's okay to not be learning something that you're going to implement in your classroom in the fall. I mean, sure, I know that's what we love doing, but sometimes it's great just to decompress and really give your mind a break. So yeah. I hope you make some time for that.
You said something important there too. And by the way, I see Reagan has popped in. Thanks, Reagan. Guided Math Amped author. Becca's like smashing it, doing so well. So we're glad to see you in here. And Brianna's in here, I see. Thank you. Sean, thanks for commenting and really appreciate it. And you said the thing about your body's going to, if you don't put the recovery time in, your body will do it for you. That's so true. Is that if you don't recover, then your body is going to say, all right, well then I'm going to injure you. I'm going to make you stop and have recovery time one way or another. And the same thing true, not just with athletics, but with, sometimes we get sick and our bodies, with teaching, we're not taking care of ourselves. Our body just says, you know what, if you're not going to shut yourself down ever, I'm shutting you down.
Yes.
And you start to see your body break down or you get sick.
It's so true. And I think, too, one of the things I was thinking about, it seems like Nick was bringing it to my mind.
By the way, Amy's popped in here. Hi, Amy. And I've loved watching you get involved in your fitness journey. I see you've been getting out there and getting your workouts in. So congratulations.
Yes. Do I have blessed it? Yeah. Nick has been battling with an injury right now. Not because of working too hard every day, but she is dealing with an injury. And that's another thing. Sometimes we get injuries outside of whatever we normally do. Like I was climbing a rock wall this past weekend and just jumped off the wall. Not a great idea. Kind of rolled my ankle, had to tape it up for workouts. But I think too, that just proves I couldn't show up to my workout the next day giving it 100% like if it was competition day. There's no way. I knew I had to nurse that injury a little bit so it could get back to normal. And I think we need to think about that too with our students and with the people that we serve, because I think sometimes we place really too high of expectations on them too. And we expect them to be able to come in, do the job, or our kids, our own kids, our husband, our spouse, whoever, you kind of have these high expectations. They're just going to show up and do it. And you get frustrated when they have a bad day. But the truth is, I mean, maybe it's just a training day. Maybe it's just one of those times where they're nursing an injury, something that came into their mind that's bothering them and they can't seem to get it out. And so they really can't show up the way that they normally show up. And we need to give grace in those areas too.
Yeah. Janice, thank you for popping in here. And yes, we so need to recharge. And so, by the way, we need to be reminded of these lessons ourselves, because I know, Tara, that you've reminded me of this before, and I've reminded you of this before. You had an injury with your foot, and you're like, well, I can keep. I'm like, Tara, stop jumping. Like, you have, like, let it heal. And your coach was telling you the same thing. Like, you can do other things. There's adaptations. There's other, like, doesn't have to be, so for me, if I have a running injury, well, there's other things in the world than running. I can do other stuff. But it's so easy just to like want to push forward and go forward. And sometimes we need other people in our lives to remind us, like, hey, stop. And since Nick is running and listening, I thought I would kind of ask the audience this question. Let's say that you had a fractured bone in your arm, okay? And you were at school, and in one hand you have a fractured, one arm you have a fractured arm, and in the other arm you are holding a donut, and you trip and you start to fall. Which hand do you use to brace yourself and stop the fall? Do you use your fractured arm, or do you and save the donut, or you do sacrifice the donut and use the arm which is not fractured? I'm just curious what people think, and then we'll discuss which one she chose.
Well, I would definitely sacrifice the donut. I don't like donuts. But
Lisa said
the donut.
Lisa said
the
save
arm
the donut.
is already fractured, so what's the worst thing that can happen? I mean, it's already got to heal, and it's not like close to healing. So Donetta says, go ahead and use the fractured one. Everyone wants to save the donut.
Okay, well, so then Nick is probably feeling a lot of validation on this, because in an effort to save the donut, she stopped her fall with her fractured arm. Now, to me, I found that ridiculous, but I guess if it was ice cream, if it would have been ice cream, I understand. But
could be a different story with ice cream.
Yeah.
Donuts, I can take or leave. I would never be holding a donut. I don't like them. Yeah. But if I were, I wouldn't care about it. But I like what Sean had to say. You got to avoid fracturing the second arm. So go ahead and.
The one one's already broken. Might as well just like.
I mean, it's already wrapped up and stuff. Too much fun. But I think back to your adaptations piece, I'd like to talk about that a little bit with life. I think making that parallel would be a fun topic while we're wrapping things up. Sometimes if we're struggling in a certain area, maybe we don't try to keep pushing in that area. Maybe we kind of need to alter our mindset and shift to an area of something we can actually do. Maybe not every day I'm going to be the best blogger. So I don't write that day. It's okay. I coach authors on that day. And I'll do that part of my job that I love so much. Or, whatever. But there's always something else we can do. And it's something I had to learn, as Dave was talking earlier. I know that, but I still just want to get out there. And I'm like, maybe I can jump on the box today. He's like, stop jumping on the box. Like, your foot is sprained. But, and that wasn't the rock wall foot. It was the other foot. But I dropped a bumper plate on that one. But I did. I started to learn, I don't have to jump. It's fine. I didn't jump for 4.5 weeks, and it healed up. And now I can jump just fine. But if I would have continued to keep jumping on it, that sprain, injuries in your feet take a long time to heal because you're always standing on them. And so that sprain would have just kept, bothering me and took way longer to heal. And I think that's the same with people. If you keep focusing on something that you're struggling with, it's just going to take you longer. Sometimes if you could just take your mind off of it, do something else for a little bit, and then come back, I feel like sometimes you're just so much more fresh. You're ready to look at it. You're ready to write again. If it's blogging, if it's YouTube, if it's podcasting for me, I've taken a big, long chunk break off of it, and I'm ready to come back now. I'm excited about it again. And you know what? My audience, probably they may or may not listen again, but I wasn't in the mindset to be able to build a DBC university, coach all these people on how to write courses, learn how to write them myself, and do all those things. So that just dropped off the side for a little while. And now I'm ready to pick it back up again. And I think we need to do that more in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. And what you mentioned about that, today it wasn't a blogging day, so you did something else. The other thing is that if maybe you do write a blog, but you don't have to publish it.
Yeah.
Like I have all kinds of blogs that I've written, which just aren't any good. And so I like look at it and go like, I'm just putting it in my files. I'm not sending that out into the world. And so not everything that you make or do you don't have to publish it. You don't have to send out into the world. And so you can still make that part of your practice, part of your training. Like I write, like if you say like, hey, I write every day. Okay, that's fine. You can write every day, but sometimes it can be a journal. Sometimes it could be for you. It doesn't have to be for the world always.
Yes. And I definitely journaled every day, but that stuff could not have made it. It would have been a bad blog post, as Donetta just said. It would have been really bad to put that stuff out into the world. Some things, as Dave said earlier, some things I just don't need to tell the world. But I still think you needed to know about holding the vials.
Hey, I have a fear that one of my fears that I need to deal with is it's making me think right now about I need to clear out my computer. I'm like, what if, God forbid, I die today, and then someone's going to come to my computer and find all these bad blog posts. And they're going to go, hey, look, there's like a unpublished work. You know how they do that with recording artists? They're like, it's the unpublished songs of somebody or whatever like that. I'm like, hey, wait a second. No. There was a reason those were in the file and they weren't on my blog. Like I didn't want people to see those. So maybe I need to go through and start to ditch those.
You never know. Some of that stuff's like bestsellers though, because it's so real and it's so personal that people just eat it up. They can't wait to read it. So we'll make millions when you're gone, Dave, off of those bad blog posts.
You're gonna bind them together and put out a book like the unpublished work of Dave Burgess.
You gotta have it. It's amazing.
Trust me, you don't want to read it.
It's like my journal. My journal has 2 passwords. So it's digital. I'm really hoping nobody is ever able to hack into it and figure it out. That would be awful to publish. Oh dear. You're legendary. Exactly. I'm with you.
Yeah, but you only believe that because you haven't read my really bad stuff.
That's the best. Well, friends, I don't know if this helped you or encouraged you. I hope it does. Just know you're not going to be on every single day. You're not going to hit a personal record every single day. We don't have to play the game every single day. Elite athletes don't do it. Humans don't do it. They say it and we see posters about it all the time, but in reality, that's not normal. I don't know anybody that shows up like that every day.
You don't have to set up PR today. You don't have to. It's not always a race day, not always a game day. You're so right. Some days just show up, get out there, put in your miles, go do your workout, go write your blog, do your podcast, whatever it is that you do. Some days you just show up and just do it, and it's okay if it's not the best thing that you've ever done.
And to me, what I love about this, just to close things out, I feel like what we learn in our training days, be it in real life or in fitness, it all comes together, right? It kind of reminds me a little bit about like Karate Kid, where he's like waxing on and waxing off and waxing on and the old school one. And he doesn't understand why he's painting the fence and back and forth. He's like, really, why am I doing this stuff? But the truth is, when he put it all together, and he showed up for the fight, it all made sense. And so I think on your worst days, on the days where you feel like you forgot everything you once knew and nothing's really working out for you, there's going to come a day later where it all comes together and you will remember, wow, I went through that because I needed to build new levels of empathy to be able to serve the people that I get to serve today in this position. Or I struggled through that because when it came competition day and it went for that lift, the first one I missed, but I had 15 seconds to pick that bar up and try it again. And it all came together because I remembered how frustrated I was then, and I was able to clear my mind and get focused. But I learned it during training, and I was able to apply it during the game day. So keep that in mind. All these things we're doing on these training days, it's not for nothing. Every single thing, the up and the down, it's all going to come into play when we have to put it all together.
Absolutely true. Make sure you all get over there to TaraMMartin.com and read the blog post and comment and share what your thoughts are. Yeah. And we are so happy that you joined us here on Facebook Live today. And so we're going to be choosing a winner later. Is that right, Tara?
Yes, we're going to choose 2 winners because I did not do a DBC challenge. So we can choose 2 winners today. So do you want to choose them in the morning? Leave it up through the evening?
Sure. We'll put it into this thread in the morning.
Yes, we'll put it in this thread in the morning. And thank you all for joining us live. We always love coming on here. We do have Tamra Letter joining us next week. She's going to be talking about some traveling kindness strategies and things we can do while we're traveling to show kindness.
The Queen of Kindness is coming on?
Queen of Kindness. And so you definitely want to come back if you're traveling at all. She always has great little ideas that I never think of. And so it's a fun, really easy implementation of sharing some kindness, and we could always use more kindness. So see you next week.
I would like to say that apparently I lose, and the vote is clear that Nick did the right thing by saving the donut. Apparently I'm wrong.
Donut won tonight for sure.
Yeah. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong, and apparently this time it was all about the donut.
There's so many reasons why too. Awesome. Well, have a great one. Thanks for joining us. Next week, same place, same time. Like I said, we'll be talking about traveling kindness with the Queen of Kindness, the author of A Passion for Kindness. You don't want to miss that. So we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.